Good day, everyone. This is Miss Jai, and we are now on the third quarter. In this quarter, we will be talking about principles, elements, techniques, and devices of creative nonfiction. But before we begin the lesson 1, let's get to know what is creative nonfiction. Creative nonfiction is a literary genre that is fast becoming popular among writers today. In the past, writers had published books of poetry, or fiction, or drama, or play before they ventured the realm of creative nonfiction. Simply put, creative nonfiction is the artistic way of relating factual events to the readers. In other words, it is the most personal of literary genres. Materials for creative nonfictions are readily available since they come from the writer's real-life experiences, as in the case of memoir or the travel essays, or they may come in the form of observations or comments of the writer about places, people, events, and so on. In other words, it's too personal, like it is more on real-life experiences. But to write that, you have to write it in a most artistic way. So, what is the difference between creative nonfiction and nonfiction? Creative nonfiction is different from nonfiction because the former, or the creative nonfiction, employs techniques found in fiction, such as plot, characters, settings, point of view, atmosphere, insight, and other literary techniques and devices. Meaning to say, creative nonfiction is focused on story, meaning it has a narrative plot with an inciting moment, rising action, climax, and denouement, just like fiction. However, nonfiction only works if the story is based in truth, an accurate retelling of the author's life's experiences. Basically, creative nonfiction is a hybrid of nonfiction and fiction. And since creative nonfiction uses the same elements in fiction, then, in this lesson, first we will focus on plot. Okay? So, in this lesson, we will be answering the following questions. What is plot? Is there a plot in creative nonfiction? How do you write a plot for creative nonfiction? So, let us answer the first question. What is plot? You have learned in your creative writing class in the previous semester that a plot or plot structure is inherent in fiction. As we all know, a plot is a sequence of events that has a beginning, middle, and an end. Now, plot is a pattern of actions, events, and situations showing the development of the narrative. But the question is there a plot in creative nonfiction? Because as we all know, creative nonfiction is based in real-life experiences. Well, yes, just like fiction, creative nonfiction also has plot. One major difference is that the plot of creative nonfiction is based on actual people, as what I have said, experiences and events as they actually happened. While in fiction, the characters are a product of the fictionist's creative mind. Now, how do you write the plot of creative nonfiction? As a beginning writer, you should begin with something that you are familiar with or interested in. Could be writing about people you know, things you have personally experienced, events that you actually witnessed, or something that is close to home because you will find it easy to acquire information since you have easy access to them. But you should not limit yourself to only these. You can explore other subjects and topics and reach out to the rest of the world once you are ready. Now, creative nonfiction the creative nonfiction writers must have the skills of a fictionist, since they will be telling a story in the way fictionists do. So this is what makes nonfiction creative. Okay? Now, it is also important to note that the writer of creative nonfiction is not allowed in any way to alter facts in the interest of improving his story. The creative nonfiction writer must not deliberately misquote his sources, misconstrue their statements, or mislead his readers. Okay? In creative nonfiction, it's like you focus on the facts, the truth, but at the same time, when you write the story, you should have to be creative. Now, how to begin your plot? In the title, you need to have a catchy and clever titles, because catchy and clever titles have an advantage. Examples are Maxine Hong Kingston's The Wild Man of Green Swamp and Edward Hoagland's The Courage of Turtles. These two are examples of catchy titles. Why? Because these titles titles which are too long are at a disadvantage. Titles should not also be misleading. It should be short, catchy, and clever. And then, as for the first paragraph, the key to good creative nonfiction is dramatic writing. But the key to dramatic writing is action. There are many ways of beginning your paragraph or your story. First, you could use a passage or vivid description, a quotation, a list, a little scene, an anecdote, a question, or a striking statement, and a reference to a current event which serves as context of the action. So, you can use any of the following when you are going to start your paragraph. Now, how will you end your plot? In the ending, it is expected that the ending of a creative nonfiction piece is the logical conclusion of the flow of your narrative or of the development of your ideas. You must constantly bear in mind that the reader should be left with a sense of completion. But a satisfying ending does not mean that you need to answer or resolve the issues that you raised in the essay. Okay? You may even wish to end by suggesting new problems or asking other questions. So, to end this lesson, let us have a sort of a recap. Plot, as we all know, is a sequence of events that has a beginning, middle, and an end. And yes, just like fiction, there is plot in creative nonfiction. One major difference is that the plot of creative nonfiction is based on actual people, experiences, and events as they actually happened, while in fiction, the characters are a product of the fictionist's creative mind. Also, in this lesson, you also learned how to begin and end the plot of a creative nonfiction as a beginner. Okay? So there you go. That's all for our lesson. I hope you learned something from me today. This is your teacher, Teacher Joy. Thank you and see you again.